We come back to a brand new year as we get ready for a brand new playoff for the Monday Night Racing Road to Glory. And what a better way to kick it off than at one of the fastest circuits on the NASCAR schedule, Talladega Superspeedways. As we say good evening and welcome you to Podium Esports coverage of Monday Night Racing presented by Tough Go Flooring, as we are here for the Sim Seat 50 live from the virtual Talladega Superspeedway in Lincoln, Alabama. Good evening, everyone. I am your host, Taylor Burris. Alongside of me is none other than Nolan Rempel. Our producer tonight is Joshua Lee, with cameras provided by Dougie Beard and social media handled by Cameron Arbanon. Nolan, we are about to kick things off with the playoffs. 10 drivers battling for 7 races to have a chance to be a champion in the season premiere of Monday Night Racing, and having the chance to go and have what it takes to compete with some of the biggest names in motorsports in next season.
And I think you put it perfectly when you said that this has to be one of the biggest and the baddest tracks on the NASCAR circuit. And what better way to kick off playoffs than here at the Talladega Superspeedway? It is a racetrack that has so much history from when it was first built all the way back in the late 60s. And it is a track that many race fans still hold very dear to their heart on the oval racing scene, which means we are in for one heck of a race here tonight. It is one of those racetracks that does tend to be the great equalizer. Anybody can have a chance at winning, so long as you know where to put your truck when it really comes down to the wire on that final lap.
It certainly is. And as we now take a look here at the Talladega Superspeedway, Nolan, give us a little bit of background on this beautiful circuit.
Of course, it used to be built on the airfield, and you can still see that airfield down, in the infield section. You can also see what remains of what was once a road course that saw use all the way up to the 70s for sports car racing. It is, of course, the longest track in all of NASCAR at the time, or at least it was until the Cup Series went on over to One Road America, and the Circuit of the Americas. 2.66 miles, turns banked at 32 and 33 degrees here in Lincoln, Alabama. And my goodness, you can just see what a beautiful track it is. It's a track that it can honestly, it looks a lot steeper. I guess, should probably rephrase that and say this: the cameras don't tend to do it justice. And you saw for the bank camera there just how steep that banking is, and that's what will allow these trucks to be ripping around the high side here at well over 185 miles an hour, all the way through from green to checker.
And we'll be seeing that as we will be seeing the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series trucks here tonight, utilizing, of course, the Ford F-150, the Chevy Silverado, and the Toyota Tundra out on the circuit here tonight. Qualifying is just about wrapping up, but as we take a look at our race details, it is 35 laps or 50 minutes, whichever comes first. One fast repair for those who will be involved in the big one. It's not a matter of when it will happen or if it will happen, it's when it will happen, of course. 3 attempts of a green, white, checkered, and then, of course, 3 sets of tires, 75% of fuel. We probably will be seeing one pit stop during this race, depending on how the cautions fall, as well as if we get any green flag runs here, Nolan. But strategy is going to come into play following the right amount of momentum through the field. When the track gets kicked up, it's going to be so important for these drivers to watch.
And of course, watch for that outside line. Of course, when it comes around to super speed racing, I think a lot of people have said it hasn't really gone the way that oval racing might like to see, what with the single file drafting package currently present for both the Gen 6 and now the Gen 7 cars on the service. However, that is very much not going to be the case here in these Gander Outdoors trucks coming to race for us at Talladega here tonight. You can properly open up an outside line and mount a serious charge if you can just get a couple of people to line it up with you. Watch for the checkups, particularly out of turns 2 and 4. That is going to be definitely causing some serious runs with an outside line tonight, and who knows, it could find ourselves with a little bit of a big one, which has so much potential, especially up in front, where some of those drivers might be looking to push a little bit more aggressively.
It certainly is, and of course, 10 drivers are going to be looking to see if they can survive here tonight. Of course, we know several of them who are going to be battling in this championship playoff, and when we give through the starting lineup, we will let you know who are those 10 drivers that will be battling for this Monday Night Racing Road to Glory Championship Playoff Series. As we get things rolling, qualifying is just about wrapped up, so now we, of course, will give you your starting lineup here tonight. And of course, your starting lineup is brought to you than none other by Brian Shock Technologies starting grid, and of course, on the Beef Jerky Unlimited Pole Award winner, goes to none other than one of the most winningest drivers in the Road to Glory series, as well as in the playoffs, Presley Sora. As we wait for the qualifying series to come to a close here, we will about to get ready to give you their starting lineup as they wind it down. And now it is time for your starting lineup as the field will now enter to the track and we get ready for 35 laps of excitement here tonight at Talladega. Starting on the pole, of course, will be Presley Stora alongside another playoff competitor. John Theodore will be starting in the second position. In third position, you will find another playoff competitor, Bailey Turner, alongside Nick Olson, also competing in the championship. Rounding out in the fifth and sixth position is Jason Keffer and Charlie Brown. In 7th and 8th are two other drivers competing for the championship, Joshua Abe as well as Reed Wilson in 7th and 8th. Rounding out your top 10 will be Thomas Miller and Luke Canuck, who won the season opener. He will be battling for a championship as well.
And then, of course, in row number 6, you're going to have one Justin Mons alongside Zachary Mertes in his 02 Chevrolet. How about Ray Richer bringing it up in the 13th position on row number 7 with Mark Rebellis down in the 14th place. William Hale, yet another playoff contender, going to be down in 15th place alongside Ford Martin in his 07 Jack Chevrolet. It will be one Jesse Vaughn along with Dakota Curtis for the final driver's assistant qualifying laps here at Talladega. Brendan Queen is 19th with Jeffrey McConey down in 20th place. There's Trey Patton and Dylan Freeble here, Taylor, to round out your 22-car field from Alabama.
1T2 trucks here tonight as they are about to head to the high banks. And as we get things ready, while these drivers are getting settled in, we're going to have a brief moment to talk to our Fox Sports app in-race reporter. He made his way to the playoffs by picking up some wins. It is William Hale joining us. William, you're out here ready to compete for a championship. How does the momentum feel going into this first race of the playoffs?
I mean, it's great. I'm happy that we actually have a little momentum. We've had some really good runs. Qualifying effort tonight wasn't the best, so we got a lot of ground to make up, but it's Talladega. Anything can happen. Just really excited to be a part of the first ever Road to Glory playoffs, and it's time to go. So sit back, grab a rowdy, and let's get to work.
Alrighty, well, good luck to you out there, William. We'll be watching to see what you can do out here with the trucks at Talladega. That, of course, is William Hale, your Fox Sports app in-race reporter. And, of course, the new Fox Sports app has changed the game. From the top moments, breaking news, original content, and live sports, you can find it all in one app. Follow your favorite sports teams or sports with mobile alerts right on your device. Download the all-new app in the App Store or on Google Play. The Fox Sports app. Get it. Use it, love it. Nolan, as we get things ready, I gotta ask you, what is going through some of these drivers' minds as we get ready to race here at Talladega?
I have to say, if you're guys like Presley Sora or John Theodore, you're wondering about how you can conserve a little bit of fuel while also staying up in the front of this thing, because if you get shuffled out of line, it is so easy to find yourself tumbling all the way down, sometimes upwards of 10, 15 spots at the rear end of this field. If you are guys further to the back, you might be trying to think about more how you intend on working your way up through the grid and trying to get yourself potentially up at the front where it really matters in the closing laps. But if you are other drivers like Mark Rebellis or Brandon Queen, who are both starting this race from pit road, they're just going to be hoping for a caution flag so that they get themselves back in the running order.
It certainly will be the case, as we will find out who can punch their way into the next round, who will be able to survive the big one. Well, we're about to find out here in 35 laps. As you see the field working through turns 3 and 4, those 33 degrees of banking, just holding on as we will see Barry, the pace car driver, make that hard left turn down out of harm's way, and the field will come to a crawling start as Barney the Flagman will have the big green flag in hand as we get ready to turn them loose for the first race of the playoffs. Field getting bunched up, ready to go as they come to the green flag here. You see the trucks, you see the stars. Now let's see the action as Barney the Flagman has the big green flag in hand, and the green flag is out, and we are underway here at Talladega. And as they come across complete lap one, Presley Sora will be that race leader on the inside. You see on the timing screen, those highlighted in red are your playoff competitors right now, as Turner as well as Nick Olson, your top three. You look on the top side of the racetrack, you see the 33 of Jason Keffer leading that outside lane as they work down the Talladega super stretch here. And as they work through, we do have a couple of things to mention as they work down. Here comes Keffer to the outside. One car spinning on the middle of turn 3 and 4. There's a big checkup right there as they come through 3 and 4. Charlie Brown got loose, hit the inside wall, and Jeff McConey is serving a restart violation.
It was changing before start finish. McConey, that's going to have him tumbling down and out of this race as we go 3 wide in the top 10. Look at Mertes with a push from one Thomas Miller, charging around the outside line. Going to be 3 wide for second. Making 3 wide now for the race lead down the front straightaway into turn number 1. Now this is the type of pack racing at Talladega that I like to see, Taylor. It's such a shame we can't have stuff like this in the Gen 6 and Gen 7 cars. So glad though that we can still get great racing like this in the trucks.
That's why they consider the truck racing to be some of the best racing in the business, as you watch on board with Luke Knupp as they head down the back straightaway here. It is 3 abreast now as they work through turns 3 and 4. You have Keffer on the bottom of the racetrack. You have Abe leading the top side, or Abby leading the top side of the racetrack. Here comes one car. He's going to jut out to the third lane. It's going to be a 3-car train on that top side. We'll have to get a number on that, but here comes Joshua Abbey. He's going to try to see if he can hold on to that position as he tries to squeeze his way up to the front of the race lead as Keffer gets pushed out of the way.
Down onto the apron for Jason Keffer, gonna have to tumble back down. Got a really bad bump for Presley Sora, that unstable 33, lucky not to clip the grass, which would certainly send him all the way around. And now still running the apron through 1 and 2. Good news is he'll be able to tuck in line with the draft where he loses it entirely, and we're still side by side up in front for the race lead. That kind of got everybody to settle on down to just 2 lines. Joshua Abe and one William Hale, 2 different playoff drivers going to be leading the way. And now you can see playoff drivers running first all the way back through the 7th place.
It's certainly a strong performance for your top 7 as they're all playoff competitors. Your next a non-playoff driver is Zachary Mertes, sitting in that 8th position with Dakota Curtis. Nick Olson rounds out your top 10 as they come flying across the start-finish line here at 186 miles an hour. And as they work their way through, there you see your Fox Sports app in-race reporter, William Hale, just sawing on that wheel, trying to hold on to the race lead. He's got help from Presley Sora, while we see Joshua Abbey, along with a 77 of Luke Knupp, leading the top side of the racetrack here. No pressure. Here comes that third lane now. It's got some help, and that lead is going to be helped by Nick Olson in that number 24. He's getting a push from Thomas Miller down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3.
I tell you what, from what I'm seeing in these opening laps here, Taylor, if there's anybody you want to have pushing you, it's going to be Thomas Miller. Seems to be so confident in his abilities in that number 13 Toyota Tundra. This is the 2nd time, though, he's managed to shove somebody all the way up to the front row from the 3rd lane up the racetrack. So Miller's got to be the guy you want to push you. 4 wide now, down the front straightaway through the Triova. Miller abandons his mate Nick Olson on the outside line. He'll punch his way through now. He will lead the 3rd train in line.
You got them 4 abreast, now back to 3 abreast as they work their way down into turns 1 and 2. Out of turn number 2, they're going to be lined up nose to tail. That outside lane not going as they planned here, as they have a couple of cars still on that outside lane. But Abbey now is your race leader, on board with Joshua Abbey in that number 5 as he leads the field through. Presley Sora trying to get that bottom lane going right now, but he is struggling to make it work. But he gets a big push from William Hale as they come out of turn number 4. Down the front straightaway, will Sora slide up in front of Abbey or stay put in that bottom lane as they come through the trioval once again? Here comes the 3rd lane with Thomas Miller leading that top side of the racetrack as they come across the line. Give the race lead back to Presley Sora.
I tell you what, this is such a breath of fresh air compared to the plate track racing that I've been used to seeing now on iRacing throughout these last 6 or 7 months or so. And I have to say, I am absolutely loving what I am seeing here. It is currently no holds barred racing. Everybody looking to see if they can have a run for themselves. Everybody seems to be almost out for themselves here as well. You have to get those drivers that you're willing to work with. And so far, it seems to be honestly the 3rd and bottom trains that seem to be working the best. As you can see, that middle line currently a little bit out of touch, it would seem.
It certainly seems that way right now as they come out of turn number 4. Of course, you see Miller and Ford Martin trying to get that outside lane going. They have Nick Olson and another truck also, as we see Miller now cut to the bottom behind Zachary Mertez, as the 28 of Jesse Vaughn will go up to the top side on board with Mertez. He's trying to follow in behind the tire tracks of Luke Canup as they work their way through turns 1 and 2. There you see on board with Mertez as they work their way through turns 1 and 2. Great racing as he'll duck to the outside, trying to get in that third lane and lead the train down out of turn number 2, but he has no help whatsoever. So that means one thing: he's going to fall all the way back and very quickly.
Saw the absolute look of pure focus on 02's face as he was trying to find himself pushing up and further through this field, but only found himself falling back as a result. That is once again going to leave between Ave and now Suarez to duke it out for the race lead. Third line opening up. Here comes Thomas Miller. This time it's Justin Mons to push him with Ford Martin going with them. Jason Kepper thinking about it as well. 3 wide, 3 rows deep for the race lead, and could they potentially be thinking about 4 in just a few moments? Look at Canup all over the shot in that middle line, weaving left and right, trying to keep linked up with Abe. If he's not careful with that, he'll find himself pinballing off of both lines, and that'll cause a lot of drivers to be falling way back in a hurry.
Watch the runs here as you see Justin Mons giving a big push to the back bumper of Thomas Miller. Ford Martin in hot pursuit of that 07, and as they still work their way through, now it's the outside and the inside lane that are at strong suit right here. You're on board with Thomas Miller as they come out of turn number 3 and 4. Here comes Abby. He's got a head of steam with help from Luke Canup. They're making their run for the race lead as they come up through the middle of the racetrack and through the tri-oval. They have help from the 28 of Jesse Vaughn, and as they come racing across the line, Sora will lead that lap once again.
So Sora is still out in front, but only by a nose. He has got our Fox Sports race reporter right behind him in the number 62 of William Hale, trying to see if he can maybe push Sora to the front. Now, the problem is that inside line, with how bad the checkups can be out of these corners, it is always going to be on the back foot when you're side by side of this for the lead. Not to mention the outside lines, they can utilize that banking and the downhill slope onto these straights as it kind of transitions into a more flat surface, which shifts all the runs of the outside line out of these corners. And don't get me wrong, in the corners you can see that inside line manages to pull ahead. But of course, this race ain't one of the corners here, Taylor. It is always one on the straightaways where the track is flat and the outside line is the one that you want to be in.
It certainly is. Of course, your biggest mover of the race right now has to go to the 62. Our Fox Sports app in-race reporter, William Hale, started in 15th. He's now running in the 2nd position. Got as high as 1st early on as he thinks about jumping to the outside lane. The answer is going to be yes. He's going to get in front of Joshua Abbey. Will Abbey stick with him? He will put the back bumper to that Ford F-150 as they come down through the back straightaway. He slides in front of Sora. Here comes a big push now for the middle and the 3rd lane now as they go side by side, 2 abreast for your top 2, making your top 4 as they work through 3 and 4.
That was a very decisive move from William Hale to push himself up into the 2nd line. Oh, Presley Sora is unsteady in the bottom line. At one jumping down below the apron. That's going to be Ray Richard that went down to the apron for just a brief moment. Now Luke Canup able to push Abbey. They both get clear and drop down in front of William Hale. So it'll be Joshua Abbey to lead this next lap. Thomas Miller now leads that outside line, and as a result of that large checkup out of turn 4 that started from 2nd place, you see this lead pack starting to split apart a little bit, starting to catch the lap traffic. That is Charlie Brown, who we talked about earlier, had that spin on the back straightaway on the opening lap. He is now going to be going 1 lap down. Here comes the 13 of Thomas Miller, making a 4 for a brief moment. But where did this one from the 13 come from as he's trying to charge to the lead?
The problem, though, is he has no help. He gets left hung out to try, drop the parachute on Thomas Miller briefly, but here comes Ford Martin to his rescue as they come through 3 and 4. Joshua Abbey is now your race leader. William Hale slings out to the 2nd lane with Presley Sora. Here comes the 77 of Luke Canup. He's tired of being the pusher. He wants to lead this race as he'll go to the 3rd lane and try to lead the group.
You see everybody so clustered together, and it's so difficult to judge which line is actually going to come out on top with how much everybody's juking around. All it takes is one driver to jump out of line from one of these lines, and that is going to obviously cause the entire lane to check up as the run is lost. Kepper jumps to the top side. That will let Miller with the 2nd one in line. Now looking to shove. Presley soars. William Hale continues to lead this race with Abbey pushing him along with Bailey Turner. Kepper still sliding back. He's got Justin Moss to help, but he is still a couple of car lengths back. So Kepper is going to be losing so much ground, he'll be dumped well outside of the top 10.
As they work their way across through the front straightaway here, it's a great racing action as they come down across that start-finish line. Who's going to lead this lap as they come to the line? Give it to Presley Sora. Just barely 8 thousandths of a second between those two as they come across the line. What a race here as they continue to work their way through turns 1 and 2. Hale now has the nose, or about a half a car truck length ahead of Sora, but Sora's going to get a big push from the 13 of Thomas Miller as they come down here. The Alabama gang stretch here through turns 3 and 4. Sora now has the advantage. He can duck to the inside. He will duck to the inside. Miller trying to go, but can't make it work.
And still side by side, it's coming up close to that halfway point in what is just a 35 lap race. And I have a feeling, Taylor, that the fact that this race is only 35 laps long is what is causing for all these drivers to be driving a little bit more frantically than I think we're used to seeing in truck races like this, right? Because you don't have nearly as much time as you would in, say, an 80 lap race to push your way to the front as what Thomas Miller jumps in line, clears Sora for the race lead.
Sounds like he just cut the ropes on the elevator and just shot to the bottom of the racetrack as he comes and now is your race leader. And now Sora, he'll switch to the outside, trying to cross over. Luke Canuck's not going to have any of it. He's going to go to the third lane. Ford Martin now gets into the mix as the 7 of Dakota Curtis will move up a little bit. And there, put the parachute out on Luke Canuck as he'll drop all the way to the tail end of the field right now as Presley Sora and Thomas Miller are your top two.
And Luke Canuck even called that he was dropping, gave it a little bit of a tap to the brake pedal, did not want to be caught on the outside line with no help, so he faded back as quick as he could to avoid losing as much time as possible. Now he'll have to try to work his way all the way up through this race. Tough go, Florence, 20 to go now here from Talladega, Alabama.
It is your Tough Go Flooring, 20 to go here. Some great racing action as they work their way through turns 1 and 2, and we are seeing some of the best racing we've seen all season as they come down the back straightaway here. You're on board with Thomas Miller. He's now getting a push from William Hale. Here comes Sora and Ford Martin as they work down the back straightaway here. Side by side battle for the race lead.
Oh, Ford Martin's looking a bit squirrely behind Presley Sora. They're trying to link up. You can't really push in the corners, though, with how this package works, at least with these Gander outdoor truck cars. So you got to try to get yourself sorted and get yourself a hard square shove right down the front straightaway through the tri-oval. Solid maybe, but definitely not through these corners. Martin tried it, and it almost cost him dearly.
It certainly did, and as they come across the line here, we are almost 1 lap away from the halfway point of tonight's race. And as they work through turns 1 and 2, it is 2 by 2 by 2, several rows deep as they come out of turn number 2. We're now thinking of going 3 wide as here comes the 20 of Dylan Friebel with help from Justin Mons. He's now coming up through the field. Here they come side by side for the race lead, 3 abreast.
5 miles an hour quicker down the back. Oh, look out, though, as the 41 of Justin Mons got all sorts of out of shape entering 3. That'll cause the run to the outside to stall, but it won't be stalled for long as charging out of turn number 4. Here comes Dylan Friebel to the race lead. Now, here is the big question. Does he stick with Mons, or does he opt to potentially drop down low if he can just get clear as we hit halfway this next time by?
And as we cross the halfway point of tonight's race, it's time to bring you the iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing. iRacing is the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsports. Virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in Australian supercars, IndyCar, IMSA, NASCAR, the world of outlaws, and much, much more. Thomas Miller is your race leader, followed by William Hale in second, with Presley Sora in third position. Fourth is Joshua Abbey, followed by Ford Martin in fifth. Bailey Turner is in sixth, with Dylan Friebel in seventh. Dakota Curtis is in eighth, with Jesse Vaughn ninth. Rounding out your top 10 is Justin Mons.
And for the moment, John Theodore is 11. That is definitely going to update here at the line. Ray Richer is 12 as they got trouble on the front straightaway, wrecking through the tri-oval. Hale gets turned around and wrecking again towards turn 1. This could be caution number 1 here as they're scattering everywhere. Caution will fly as they enter turn number 1.
That took quite a while to get to caution here as we conclude today's iRacing midway race break with over, of course, 170,000 drivers on the service and over 90 laser scanned cars and tracks to choose from. iRacing is your portal to the racing world. Get on track today at iRacing.com as we are under our first caution just past the halfway point. We're going to take a look at the replay to see what just happened to William Hale, who was having such a great run. And I believe it might have been the cause of a bad bump here, Nolan, as they work through turns 3 and 4.
I believe you're right. Came from Presley Sore, then Abby just finished him off with nowhere to go. We'll watch this one into the tri-oval, and there's the bump, and there's the hook, and that sends William Hale into the infield. Car getting up on 2 wheels for a brief moment, and then up in front, you can see drivers starting to scramble. I think poor Martin actually was hooked in the outside wall by Dylan Friebel, as a matter of fact, and that caused Friebel to bounce down into Dakota Curtis, and from there, it was just on as drivers tried to scramble to avoid them, causing about an 8 or 9 truck pileup in total. That is a hard shot for the 7 of Dakota Curtis into the inside wall.
It certainly is, but the good news is these drivers all do have a fast repair available, as we see. I wonder if a couple of those drivers, Nolan, were realizing, oh, a car's spinning out, will the caution come out, and started slowing down, and that's what kind of ensued, just people not communicating and checking up?
That's the potential for it, I would suppose, as I think it was honestly more a case of, just drivers checking them to avoid a wreck entirely, not knowing if there was going to be a caution or not, and you have to kind of work it from there. I know that the 27 of John Theodore took a hard shot to the outside wall, so once again, good news is that these drivers do have fast repairs to work with. I know Abby got spun around, which is such a shame for the number 5 as he was working his way all the way up through this field. And how about Ray Rich? I mean, he got through that by the skin of his teeth. He did get clipped, but the fact that he managed to wrestle that car back underneath him and save it, I think is even more impressive, as you had seen on the replays.
It certainly is, as the field now enters down towards pit road, as it will be led by Thomas Miller in the 13 and his Toyota Tundra as he comes to his pit stop. We'll see who will win the race off of pit road, as everybody has come down to get 4 tires and fuel, maybe 2 tires, maybe no tires even. It's all part of the great strategy of super speedway racing. As the field is working on to complete their pit stops, we'll see who wins the race off pit road. It will be Thomas Miller with an 8.2 pit stop, as the rest of the field comes across the line. Jesse Vaughn, then Presley Sora, Nick Olson, then Bailey Turner, your top 5 as they race off of pit road. Of course, tonight's Monday Night Racing Road to Glory series is presented by Tufco Flooring. Tufco Flooring is an industrial flooring company specialized in custom floors and trains. Tufco doesn't believe in the one-size-fits-all approach, and neither should you. Tufco listens to your needs and requirements and develops custom solutions for every client. For more information, visit their website at tufcoflooring.com. Field is now getting themselves lined up down to back straightaway here behind the pace car driver. Of course, I'm your host, Taylor Burris, along with Nolan Rempel. Joshua Lee is our producer. And as we get things going, Nolan, I gotta say, the racing here tonight has been very exciting, very fun, aggressive, yet also patience is being shown here tonight.
I miss this type of super speedway racing. I really do. I mean, this has been just a phenomenal race all around. I mean, usually when it comes to racing nowadays, especially when you look at the Gen 6 and Gen 7 cars, I mean, you'll be able to, have yourself these long discussions about potential pit strategies because everybody's just wanting to run single file with how easy it is to lose the draft, to get muscled out of line, and how dependent you are on other drivers. In these trucks, it is a really more of a bonsai approach to this race, right? I mean, you are able to just make so much more moves. You're able to make them so much more easier, and yet you're also right on the edge. You saw with a couple of the onboards earlier on tonight about drivers seesawing the wheel left and right, showing that it is really not as easy as it looks, especially when you're either pushing somebody or being pushed yourself. I mean, this race has been absolutely phenomenal so far. Definitely, I would say, one of the more exciting races we've had on the season. And I'm looking forward to how this is going to play out, because I think it's safe to say at this point, Taylor, a 3-wide finish is almost guaranteed, and we might not be too far from a 4-wide finish as well.
Well, we will have to find out as the field is led by the iRacing pace car. And as they come to the line, we will see if we get one or we have another lap to go before we turn them loose here, as we are under, I would say, probably going to be less than 10 laps to go by the time we get things rolling. As the field comes across, pace car lights are off. And as we have completed 21 of the 35, so just a little over 10 laps to go here tonight, as we are on board with our pace car driver, Barry, the pace car driver here, putting on a couple of laps. He's been very quiet out there here on the field, as this is his second time leading the field to the green flag for tonight's action. A couple of cars trying to catch up to the tail end of the field. Dylan Freeble in that number 20, who surprisingly had a decent run on that towards the end of that run here. We saw Nolan.
Having a solid run indeed, but of course, as we've seen before, I mean, look back to some drivers like Thomas Miller further down the field. It doesn't take much to just completely shatter that run. I mean, even Knupp, he thought about making a move towards the outside line, right? Thought he might be able to go for a move, but when nobody went with him, he was forced to hit the brakes and slide a little bit further down the field. So you have to also make sure that when you do try to make those risky moves, especially trying to open up a third or a fourth lane, you're going to have people that are willing to work with you, because that is definitely one of those make or break things, especially as we get closer and closer towards the end of this race.
We will certainly see how things are going to go here in these closing stages of tonight's race here at Talladega Superspeedway. And as the field gets doubled up, a couple of drivers who are still in the playoff hunt. Of course, Jesse Vaughn is in there. You also see Presley Sora, Nick Olson, Bailey Turner inside the top 5. And of course, Thomas Miller, who's having a decent run. Probably one of the most dominant trucks out on the field here tonight. Of course, Thomas not in the playoffs. Could he provide the role of playoff spoiler by the time this race is over? We'll find out. But Thomas Miller definitely one to watch here for tonight's race.
I think what's going to help these guys push a little bit harder towards the end is when that caution came out. Of course, it made it very, very easy just past halfway. You come on down, and now drivers are clear to push as hard as they possibly can towards the end of the race.
Who will push the hardest? Who will come out on top and survive all the chaos that we know and love that happens here at Talladega? Barry, the pace car driver, has pulled down pit road. Barney, the flag man, will have the big green flag in hand, and we are about to turn them loose once again. Green flag is out, and we are back underway here at Talladega. Field now starting to get their runs going, trying to get lined up and start pushing here in these final stages, as we see Thomas Miller getting a little bit of a jump, but it's now drawn back in by that 98 Ford F-150 of Presley Sora, as the bottom lane starts to build the momentum it needs to try and pull away.
You see way deep in the field, that's Dylan Freeble, the one truck that's falling back. He, I don't think, took his fast pair into this latest pit stop, and now, as a result of the engine damage falling down the order, looking to go 3 wide for second, potentially for the lead. It's Jesse Vaughn leading to the outside line, pushed by one Reed Wilson, but the 66 cannot get linked up with the back bumper to that number 28 JBL Toyota Tundra. So instead, they're both going to be slipping a little bit further down this field, losing at the moment about 8 or 9 spots each as they slid their way down the order, through turns 3 and 4.
Meanwhile, back up in the front of the field right now, Thomas Miller as well as the 25 of Bailey Turner are working the outside lane. You have Sora and Zach Mertez working the inside lane. They can't quite seem to get that outside lane going as Miller led that lap. Here comes Presley Sora to the inside with help from Mertez as they come out of turn number 2, down the back straightaway. Nose to tail lined up, bumper to bumper traffic here at Talladega. You gotta love it when you see this action here. Now Miller gets a run. Now it's side by side for the race lead as you're on board with Presley Sora. Here comes Nick Olson in the 24 as we see the Turner tries to hold on for dear life in that number 25 Chevrolet.
And Turner is going to have to slip back just a little bit more. And now you can see them fanning out all the way down this 4 to 5 lane wide front straightaway into the tri-oval. We get a bonus lane that opens up with the inside line onto the apron. It's Thomas Miller. Almost got a bad bump from Presley Sora. We almost had a carbon copy of what happened to William Hale. Just one caution to go by the same driver, no less. Bailey Turner still ripping the top side here, trying to see if he can go for the lead, pushed by Nick Olson.
You ever felt that feeling when you had the door slammed in your face and you felt the breeze? Well, apparently that door just hit the front nose of Presley Sword barely, with Thomas Miller shutting the door on him as he tries to take the race lead. But here comes
look out!
Big trouble. Here comes William Hale and Luke Knupp trying to get back onto the racetrack.
And somehow they managed to stay with it. That was an unbelievable save. As Knupp tried to split the gap, there was no room. And both drivers bounced up into the air, and they managed to come down and get with it. So we're still green flag racing. And now it's Bailey Turner to the point up in front.
Bailey Turner leads his first lap of the night here as they work their way through into 1 and 2. He tries to get in front of Thomas Miller, can't quite pull it off. Now here comes the inside lane back on the advantage. Sora and Miller now working together as they come out of turn number 2. Turner trying to get the help he needs from Olsen as they try to get that outside lane going. Here they come, following with help from the 30 of Brendan Queen down the back straightaway. Justin Mons getting involved as they work into turns 3 and 4. Here comes a big shove right there for Miller. He holds on for dear life.
And Nick Olsen is trying to keep with Bailey Turner as Thomas Miller being shoved big time by Presley Sora, wants to kick off his playoff run on a high. I would say if you want to go for a race win, the best place to be, second in line on that middle row at the time being. And so right now, Nick Olsen is, I think, in the perfect place to try and go and take a race win away, as we're 9 laps to go from Talladega, Alabama, and Miller still losing ground from the inside.
Here comes Bailey Turner to the inside lane. He'll get in front of Thomas Miller now as they come out. That will now give the opportunity for Nick Olsen to lead the second row. And now here's Justin Mons. He'll jump out in front of that third lane with help from Jason Keffer as they work down the back straightaway. Luke Knupp back into the mix. Here comes Mark Verbillis as well into the mix. 3 abreast as they come through turns 3 and 4. What a race we're seeing here tonight.
You can just feel the metal scraping of a big one right on the horizon, can't you, Taylor? I mean, any second now. We've had a few close calls as it is. It's only going to take one driver being off by about a millimeter for all chaos to break loose in this main pack up in front. And with so little time left to go, and a lot of these drivers that haven't used fast repairs as a result of that earlier incident that collected about 7 or 8 drivers, you have to wonder, right, if the big one does come out, how will this impact the running order?
It certainly will. And speaking of a running order change up, we see the 0-3 of Jeff McCody now inside the top 10 for the first time after being held for a lap after having to serve his penalty, as he sits inside that top 10 in the 7th position, working the inside lane behind Presley Sora, Thomas Miller, and Bailey Turner. Nick Olsen, though, in the outside lane gets a big push from Brendan Queen as they'll go side by side through the race lead, down the front straightaway, through the tri-oval. We will see a couple of cars jump to the outside lane, not quite yet. Jesse Vaughn tries to get a third lane going, but can't quite get it going just yet. He'll get in front of Ford Martin as they come across the line.
Brendan Queen sticking with it all over the back of Nick Olsen, trying to shove the 24 car to the front. Brendan Queen, also one of those drivers who did not have the best of runs earlier in this race, had to start from pit road after having some connection difficulties, and now finds himself in the top 5 and pushing out one driver ducking out of line. You saw that deep in the field. That's Trey Patton looking to fall a little bit further to the back, has wants no part in all the chaos taking place up in front in the battle for the lead.
Here comes the high line, followed by, of course, Jesse Vaughn and Ford Martin. They are at the top side of the racetrack with Mark Rebillis in tow. Here they come. They are now up to the second group of cars on that middle row. And now Nick Olsen jumps out in front of Bailey Turner. He wants to lead this race as they come across the line here at Talladega. We are just 6 laps to go here.
3 wide for the lead. Jesse Vaughn with a huge jump. Oh, they're wrecking. Look out for the 99. And they managed to get through in the front part, but it's 4, 5, 6 cars involved. The 62 bouncing down the apron. That's Zachary Mertes in the 0-2, sending his Chevrolet Silverado flying down the embankment. And somehow, all of the top runners got away with that.
All of the top runners did get away with that, but unfortunately for drivers such as Zachary Mertes, Ford Martin, as we take a look at the replay here, Mark Rebillis, right there. I believe that is Ford Martin that just gives a bad bump right there and then collects Mark Rebillis, William Hale, Zachary Mertes, and the 66 of Reed Wilson involved. Luke Knupp also, I think, might have got a piece of that as well.
I think Knupp actually hip-checked Martin to start that off.
Let's take a look right here on board with Canup as they work their way across the tri-oval. And we will see if there's contact made right there. Yep, he gets a little high, makes contact with Ford, and around they go. Big hit for William Hale, our Fox Sports app in-race reporter.
Wow. So we knew it was coming eventually, and this is going to put us into, I believe, green-white checker territory with just 5 laps to go. Everybody's still on the lead lap, and Ford Martin going to become our first retirement of the day as he takes his car to the garage.
Ford Martin, our first retirement, and of course, tonight's race is brought to you none other than by SimSeat. Since 2009, SimSeat has been designing and fabricating high-quality driving simulators, including motion systems, custom fabricated parts, and a complete turnkey iRacing package, all made in the USA. Their customer base includes all kinds of drivers, from amateurs to professionals, and their passion for racing drives them to build better sim racing equipment. Don't limit your track time to the weekend. Visit www.sim-seats.com for more information. Of course, you're watching the SimSeat 50 here from Talladega Superspeedway. I'm your host, Taylor Burrows, along with Nolan Rempel. Joshua Lee is our producer. Cameras provided by Dougie Beard, and on social media is Cameron Arbanon. And I gotta say, as we are now under 5 laps to go, we just saw Barney the Flagman give the big high five to race leader Nick Olson. That intensity, Nolan, you talked about, well, we're gonna ramp it up 100 times more as we just got the one to go.
And now race control is going to be shortening. And check that, going to be making it now 2 laps. Great thought. The caution was just shortened to 1 degree before getting back extended. So 2 laps to green this time by. And I think you're right. That intensity is going to be ramped up big time at the moment in this race. I mean, it is going to be a nat green-white checker, Taylor. So not an overtime attempt, to say the least. We'll still be finishing this one under the originally scheduled 35 laps in this race so far. But I think the big question at the moment, do they make it to the white flag?
That is going to be the question. Now, for those of you who are new to motor racing here, whether it be in Monday Night Racing or any form of motor racing, the green-white checkered attempt goes as follows. The leaders will take the green flag. They will then make one more circuit before receiving the white flag. And of course, whichever flag comes next, if a caution happens under the white flag, whether it be the yellow or the checkered, the field will then be frozen in that matter. However, if a caution comes out once the leader takes the green flag before receiving the white flag, we will re-rack them up and go again. And we have at least 3 attempts of a green-white checkered here tonight, or depending on the time, 50 minutes left in the race. So we're doing pretty good with time. We're just about a couple of laps away from finishing this race. So this will be very exciting to see how these drivers will work on and get to have a checkered flag finish here tonight.
So kind of just thinking a little bit as to how plate track races can tend to play out and when you want to make that very crucial move to go for the race win on that last lap. With the next gen cars or the Gen 6 cars, oftentimes, Taylor, we would be seeing people making that move right out of turn 4, entering the trial, right? You push the leader all the way through, and then you should have enough momentum of your own to be able to potentially make the pass through the trial before you get to start finish. Right now, that is very, very different in these trucks. Do you think people will be making it even later, or do you think people will be making it even earlier?
It all depends, I had to say, Nolan, on the momentum of the field. We saw how some drivers will utilize that momentum that they get and absolutely take it and just pull away from the field and actually get up to the front of the field. But then there's some who have to just wait at least 1 lap to build the momentum they need in order to try and steal the lead away. We'll have to find out here once they take the green flag, which is now 1 to green. But of course, we're not going to be done here from Talladega just yet. No. We actually have another race immediately following tonight's race that we see here with the Monday Night Racing Road to Glory. And it, of course, is the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy Drink. And of course, they kick off their playoffs. And of course, we have to say thank you to Rowdy Energy Drink. 2-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Kyle Busch and a beverage entrepreneur Jeff Church have collaborated to develop Rowdy Energy with a proprietary enhanced energy formula consisting of time-released caffeine, sugar reduction ingredients, and amazing taste and hydration levels above leading sports drinks, Rowdy Energy is a cleaner and smarter energy drink. Visit rowdyenergy.com to place your order today. And speaking of Rowdy, Kyle Busch will be competing in this month, or in the road to, or the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy Drink playoffs, as he goes for his first attempt of a championship in Monday Night Racing history. It's going to be exciting to see him go up against some of the many faces and drivers competing, as they will see who has what it takes to become a champion. But he'd have to go up against some very tough competition, such as Anthony Alfredo and Raja Carruth, who have been some of the strongest competitors this season. As we now see Barry, the pace car driver, lead the field through turns 3 and 4. It is going to be our first attempt of a green-white checkered attempt here. And as the field will work their way to line up double file, Barry, the pace car driver, will pull away out of harm's way down pit road, as Barney the Flagman will have the green flag and the popsicle sticks in the air, as we will get ready to go racing here at Talladega. Nick Olson, Bailey Turner will lead them to the big green egg green flag, as Barney the Flagman has the big green egg green flag in hand. Green flag is out, and we are back underway here for our green-white checkered attempt. And as they come across the line, Nick Olson gets things underway with Brendan Queen giving the push he needs. Bailey Turner, though, struggling to get that outside line going as they go through 1 and 2.
Still has time, though. That is a very crucial factor here. There's still more than enough time for Bailey Turner and that outside line to be able to push their way to the front of this field. And now the run is going to come. The JVL 28 and Jesse Vaughn looking to shove Bailey Turner to the point. Look out, Thomas Miller trying to open the third line. Nobody goes with it. One car glued started the apron and sliding back up, trying to hang on to it. Cars into the outside wall behind the 0-2, and Mertez going to be with them. Charlie Brown gets with it. No caution. We stay green, and it looks like it'll be 1 lap to go with 2.6 miles on the line.
Here they come out through the tri-oval. It is going to be the McConey setup shop white flag in the air for these drivers as they work their way across the start-finish line. Will we see who will come out on top? Here comes William Hale with the head of steam as he tries to get the lane going. Now Bailey Turner tries to lead. Jesse Vaughn is getting a big push. Contact, trouble as they come out of turn number 2. It's a 4-horse race between Olson as well as Presley Sora, Brendan Queen, and Bailey Turner as they work down. William Hale makes it through down as they work down the back straightaway. It's going to be a 4-horse drag race as they come through turns 3 and 4. Here they come. Here comes Nick Olson. He's going to try to hold off the outside lane, but Bailey Turner has Presley Sora in hand as they work side by side. They're almost leaning on each other, side drafting as they try to come out of turn number 4. Here they come through the triangle. Bailey Turner has the race lead with help from Sora. Nick Olson back on the attack. Contact is made. Who's going to make it? Here they come. Brendan Queen wins at Talladega. What a finish here tonight as a 4-horse race turns into 1, and Brendan Queen absolutely steals one away from the field. And with that, I have to say, looking at the point standings right now, Brendan Queen is not a playoff competitor. He steals one away from the playoff competitors here tonight.
And I believe he was the only driver in that 4-horse race, Taylor, that wasn't a playoff driver.
He certainly was not. He steals one away out of those 3 drivers that were there battling for the win. And Brendan Queen takes home the flag. He captures the flag. He steals the flag away from those 3 competitors. And with that, Brendan Queen definitely deserves a Tufco Flooring winning moment as he comes down to the front straightaway and will burn it down here at the front straightaway at Talladega. With that, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to give you your full field rundown and have a chance to interview Brendan Queen. You are watching Monday Night Racing Road to Glory, presented by Tufco Flooring on Podium Esports.
We are an industrial flooring company specializing in custom floors and drains. We don't believe in the one-size-fits-all approach to flooring, and neither should you. When you choose Toughco, we consult with you about your needs, industry requirements, and factor in numerous variables. After assessing your facility, we engineer your floor and drains, then install everything ourselves. That's the Toughco way.
Visit our website at toughgoflooring.com.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars, and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone, and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Podium Esports coverage of Monday Night Racing Road to Glory, presented by Toughco Flooring. The SimSeat 50 has just concluded, and it's time to give you the full field rundown. Brendan Queen steals one away from the playoff competitors here tonight at Talladega. He'll come home in first, followed by Presley Sora in second. Nick Olson will come home third, followed by Bailey Turner in fourth. William Hale, involved in a couple of incidents here tonight, rounds out your top five as he skirts one away. And then in sixth is Dakota Curtis. Seventh is Thomas Miller, followed by Jeff McConey in 8th, Reed Wilson in 9th. Rounding out your top 10 is Joshua Abbey.
And continuing on through with drivers collected in that huge wreck on the final lap, you got John Theodore in 11th with 1, Justin Mons in 12th, Trey Patton and Jesse Vaughn as the final drivers on the lead lap. From there, Kepper is 1 lap down, not finishing this race. Same with Luke Knupp, along with Dylan Freeble, Ray Richer, Mark Rebellis, and Zachary Bertez round out your top 20 with Charlie Brown and Ford Martin as the final 2 drivers running, both of them 2 and 6 laps down respectively, Taylor.
With that, we speak to our race winner, Brendan Queen, as he makes his way up here for the celebration. Brendan, I gotta say, that was the most exciting and also the most entertaining race of the season. And I gotta say, you stealing that one away, what is that like for you to take home this win here tonight?
Man, it definitely makes it nice to finally get the bad luck gone. I feel like we've had a shot to win just about every week, and the unthinkables have happened. And then tonight, the computer froze when I was gridding and had to start on pit road. So it sucks we're not in the playoffs, but man, to finally get a win and get it under our resume is just amazing. I knew we could do it, just needed the bad luck gone and something to build on for the rest of the season. You know, huge shout out to Shenandoah Shine and my boy Booty Banjo for sponsoring me to run this series, and y'all for putting it on. I really can't believe what just happened there, but we got it done.
Well, let's talk about the rest of the season now. We got several more great races coming up for the Monday Night Racing Road to Glory. Do you feel like this momentum you have could help carry you through the rest of the season, especially with a more mixed variety of racetracks and car combinations coming up?
Absolutely. You know, what really did our season in was a double points night. I made a rookie mistake and missed a shift running fourth there and got like dead last points, and that pretty much took us out of the championship contention. But hey, we're here for wins now, and I don't see no reason we can't get some more and prove that they got lucky that we didn't make the playoffs. But no, I just want to have a good time and win, and it's a tough competition. Anytime you can beat those guys is something to be proud of.
Certainly is. Well, Brendan, congratulations on your win here tonight. We look forward to seeing you as we head to Europe at the Red Bull Ring with the Porsches.
Thanks, guys.
Of course, and that is Brendan Queen, your race winner here tonight. And as we come to a close, Nolan, briefly want to come to you, your thoughts on tonight, but also your thoughts on what we could expect at the next round as we head overseas to Austria, the Red Bull Ring, and of course, with the Porsche 911 RSRs, a different combination of what we're used to seeing here for Monday Night Racing, but one that's always been exciting seeing the GT cars on Monday Night Racing.
No, absolutely. It's going to be such a unique combination, isn't it? I mean, it's a track that not a lot of drivers are used to. Red Bull Ring, obviously one of the newer tracks in the iRacing service, but arguably one of the more entertaining road courses on the iRacing service as well. And if tonight's race is anything to go by, they are able to turn some serious races into some serious thrillers. And I have a feeling that those Porsches at the Red Bull Ring with everybody in the same car instead of over a widespread GT3 field of 9, 10 different cars, we're going to be in for one heck of a show next week as well.
We certainly are. As we take a look at upcoming events, of course, we have coming up tomorrow night Operation E Motorsport iRacing's League from Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Catch the action on January 4th at 8 p.m. Followed by on Wednesday night, S-Rock is back, presented by Shenandoah Shine from Las Vegas. Catch the action at 9 p.m. on January 5th. Then it's time to get down and dirty as the iRacing Short Course National Series heads to Creighton on January 6th. Catch the action at 10 p.m. Then the SimMax Cup Series powered by MPI heads to the Lady in Black. The drivers got to get their best suits on as they dance there at Darlington January 9th at 9:15 before we're back with Monday Night Racing from the Red Bull Ring in Austria. And with that, for Ford Martin and Paul Sutton at Monday Night Racing, Joshua Mendoza in race control for Ryan Bauer, James Pike, Cisco Scarmuza, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore at Podium Esports. And for tonight's team, Joshua Lee, our producer, Cameron Aubernon on social medias, Dougie Beard on cameras, and my colleague in the booth, Nolan Rempel. I'm Taylor Burris. Thank you so much for watching tonight's action here at Talladega Super Speedway of the Monday Night Racing Road to Glory presented by Tufco Flooring. Now, head on over to twitch.tv/podium2 for coverage of Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy Drinks.